What is going on, guys? It is Vapes in here, and today what I'm going to be showing you guys is my favorite build on an IPV-Li or, you know, whatever box mod pretty much that you have that goes between the 125 to 200 watt zone. So we're going to dive down and show you what she's made of and show you how I like to build. It's all subjective, all of it, but I'll show you my favorite build on this setup right here, the Mutation X version 4 and my IPv3Li. Alrighty, so this is the materials I pretty much use on a regular basis for building. You're going to need a couple screwdrivers, some snips for your Kanthal. You can either use the snips for your cotton or you can use scissors. I like to use the scissors for my cotton. I like to keep a pair of needle nose pliers handy just because you could need them every once in a while, and a pair of tweezers and some organic cotton. Also, for this build, I'm going to be using 22 gauge Nichrome. So you want to cut you a pretty decent piece of this. I'm going to say I only cut it about 6 inches. A lot of people cut it, you know, pretty long, but I don't like to waste the extra Kanthal. I really don't feel that it's, you know, very much needed to cut like a 12-inch piece of Kanthal for, you know, not a parallel coil or something like that. But I'm going to cut about 6, 7, 8 inches off, maybe 8 inches at the most, and just 2 pieces of that about right here with my snips. Just boom, cut it right off. By the way, I got those snips on Amazon.com for like $6 or something like that if you guys are looking for, you know, the snips. And boom. For this build, I'm going to be using this 3mm Stanley screwdriver, Phillips head. And start my wraps. I'm going to go ahead and do 10 wraps for you guys, okay? So what I like to do is place the Kanthal right here on this bump part of the screwdriver, hold on to it real tight with my thumb, and just begin to wrap. Just kind of have your first wrap, you know, to get a grip on it a little bit. Then you just want to twist her around. Just like this. Doesn't matter, does not have to be perfect at first. I always cross it over for the first wrap for some reason. It's just something that I always accidentally do. So we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to just do 9. I think it might be 10 with the add-on anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch that. And watch, this build will come out prettier than ever when I do get finished with it. You do not need a torch. I never ever use a torch. I just use the battery. So there's your 10 wraps. Looks ugly as can be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we got 10 wraps there. Very, very ugly right now, but I'll pretty it up for you guys. Sorry if I can keep my freaking fingers on the camera. It'd be a lot better, huh? But we'll pretty it up. I'm gonna go ahead and start on the second coil, and I'll see you then. Alrighty, so same process. Gonna go ahead and get that first wrap down to keep a grip. We got 1. Well, pretty much 2, so 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10. What you want to do is just kind of scoot this one over, take it off, scoot it over, and bend it down. That's what I like to do. They're not going to be, but they will be once they get inside the RDA. Another thing I like to do, push her against, like I said, like that. Then you can take it off without using a torch. You can just take it and take your pliers, put it in between. Make sure you don't do this too tight or it will definitely mess it up. and squeeze. Hold it there for a couple seconds, you know, just like this. Don't squeeze it too tight, you know, just your average grip. Makes it look a little better. Just that right there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and deposit these inside of my RDA, and I'll see you then. So we have our RDA set in here, and I'm going to go ahead and deposit these leads inside. And what you want to do, oh, by the way, I went ahead and slid my coil on the screwdriver. What you want to do, just go ahead and put her through one side, and then put her through the other. Bada bang. Just like your average build. Nothing different here, folks. Same shit, different day. Make sure I turn that touchpad off. Okay. And if she doesn't want to go in, what I like to do, a lot of people might not like to do this, it might say, you want to screw up your RDA. I grab a hold and I pull her tight. I pull her in. And I'll also tighten up your coils a little bit too. Alright, once you have her in, get her straightened out, hold on to it, and screw her down. Just like that. And these blue screwdrivers don't work the best at tightening down, so your coil still could be a little loose on the loose side. What I like to do is once they're screwed down, I'll take my Stanley screwdriver and go ahead and finish her off, just in case, because I do not like that to be loose. Straighten her out and push. Just going to push it over, just like that. We're already getting a beautiful coil looking, guys. Remember how ugly it was when it started? Look how ugly. Look at the comparison. Alright, we're going to go ahead and snip these leads real quick. If I can grab a hold of these things. Alright, here we go. Boom. Oh, sorry. Just make sure you guys can see that. Just snip them real close. There you go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put the other coil in just a second. Then we'll fire them up, put some cotton through these bad boys, and show how she does. Alright, so I've slipped my other my goodness, I've slipped my other coil onto the screwdriver, and notice how my screwdriver is all melted from pushing coils over when they're hot. But another thing you need to do is straighten out your leads as much as possible. You know, just kind of finger through it a little bit. It'll help. It definitely helps more than it seems like it would. Yeah, just kind of finger it through. Sorry about my camera trying to focus. I don't know why it doesn't want to. It was fine where it was. I'm going to push it against one more time. Make sure those leads are decently straight. You know, they don't have to be perfect. Just like that. I mean, that's fine. It's not going to cause any issues. Okay, another thing is, I know a lot of people probably do this a lot differently, but whenever you're putting your other coil in, this coil is always going to get in your way. It's right in front of that other hole. See what I mean? The hole's down like right in the middle. So what I like to do is take my coil and shove it down. Hold it down and see if I can get my other lead in while it's down. Sometimes it's a difficult process. If it won't do it while it's down, like see, it won't right now. It's not going to. See how it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but it's hitting. See how it's hitting? Another thing you can do is pull it up. You can fix it right after. It's no big deal. Just pull it up and it'll slide right through. Just like that, guys. It's simple the way, I mean, that's the way that I have figured out how to do it. If you have another way, I mean, honestly, let me know, because I've been looking for a decent way to do that for a long time. Alright, hold on. I'll take this out. Here we go. Put her in, and I think my other post isn't loose enough. No, it's loose enough. Sliding her in. Okay, just like that, won't go through. Take the pliers. Kind of get mad at it, just pull her in, pull her in. Just do it to both sides, kind of, so you can get it. There we go, slid right in. Okay, I see how that coil, I'm noticing how that coil is kind of messed up on the end right here. As you can see, I'll show you a way to fix that real quick. What you want to do, you want to tighten down this one, not the other one. Doesn't matter where the coil is at. You can move it in the end. Tighten it down. Doesn't have to be too tight. Alright, and take your pliers and pull. If you can, without your stupid thing loosening up. Okay. Take your pliers and pull. And that should tighten it up, decently. I'm going to pull on it a little more just so I can get it in off camera so I don't take up too much space, but you know what I'm doing. I'm pulling these, trying to get this coil in, and I'll be right back. So I got it in just a tad bit more, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and screw them down. Just screw her in, and then I'm going to take this out, screw it down some more. That way it's nice and tight. Make sure you don't strip out your screws. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the other side. Take this, put it in, and go ahead and push the coil over. It takes man strength to do that. Alrighty, there you go. You have that, and I'm going to go ahead and snip the other lead. What I like to do, take my coil, put it back where it was, slide it down. Just like that. That way it's down, and you can get your snips in there. Sorry, you probably can't see, but I'm just putting my snips down in this crack right here. I'm going to snip it off once I get it down in there right. If you can't get them down in there, one thing that you can do is bend them until they break. Just bend them back and forth until they eventually break. But I don't like to do that. I don't know, I'd never really like to do that, but that's never worked the best for me. I'm having some issues here getting my snips down in there for some reason. It's really hard to do on camera. I'm gonna go ahead and get it off camera, guys. I cannot do this on camera, so I'll go ahead and get it off camera and we'll be right back. So I finally got that stupid lead snipped. I just had to get it up to my face. I couldn't see. There's not enough light. I'm kind of casting a shadow over top of it. I just couldn't see. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and snip the other one if I can quit getting in your guys' way. It's really hard to do this. It really is. I mean, you wouldn't think that it is, but it truly is. Go ahead and snip that other one off. And boom, there you have it. We're going to fire them up. I'm going to scoot that one over just a tad. Kind of do some minor adjustments. Just get it ready to be fired up. Give it one more screw down, make sure everything's nice and tight. A lot of screws will back off. I think pretty much every RDA I've had besides the Velocity. Well, no, the Velocity did too. I feel like the Mutation version 2 didn't. I honestly feel like it never backed off. But every other RDA I've had backs off. So, I'm going to go ahead and push this one over too. That way we get them nice and kind of centered. Decently centered. And boom, there you have it. I'm going to fire it up real quick. Let me turn down. I like to turn down the wattage a lot whenever I fire it up. I'm going to turn it down to 80 watts. 79, whatever, that's fine. As you can see, she's not glowing from the inside out whatsoever. So you're going to do your tweezers. If not, use pliers if it's too wide. It gets better and better with each tweeze. As you can see, they're now glowing from the inside out. I'm going to take pliers. Oops. I like to take pliers, get them in there, and just kind of straighten my coils out a little bit without burning myself. Those tweezers that I use, they get really hot when I do this. It's not the prettiest build ever, you know, it's not perfect, but it's a decent build that will get you through, and this is my favorite build for all box mods. Get ready and slide some cotton through this sucker here in just a second. If your coils are kind of hot, just sit there and blow on them, you know. Blow on them for a little while, get them a little bit cooled down, just make sure you don't burn your cotton up. I'm going to be using Japanese cotton, and I'll show you how I like to do that, how I like to cotton mine up and all that good jazz here in just a second. Square piece of Japanese cotton, real thick one. What I like to do, make sure that's not two pieces. Okay, it's not. What I like to do is rip it. I don't like to cut it. I like to rip it because you get that fluff effect. You get that real fluffy effect. Take it and just roll her, kinda. I can already tell this is probably going to be a little bit thick. So what I'm going to do, if it's a little bit thick, is rip a little side off. Just a little bit. Not much. Just rip a little bit off. Okay. So that's more of my speed. I'm pretty picky with my cotton. You want to make sure both pieces are the same size, always. You never want to have your cotton, you know, with at least, like, you don't want to have a big difference, you know what I mean? You don't want to have a gigantic difference. You're not going to get it completely perfect every time unless you measure it out, you know, but you definitely, I'm going to go ahead and rip that end off. You definitely don't want to have a huge difference on sizes between both sides. Okay, there's your first piece. I'm going to repeat the same process. Rip it. Just like that. Roll it up. I can already tell this one's a little bit thinner than the other one, but it's okay if it's just a little bit, you know, you just don't want a lot. Look, they look the same size, they nearly feel the same size. I can just tell right here in the middle it's a little bit thinner. Alright, you got your two pieces of cotton sitting right here. Sorry I have a white background. I have to use this little sheet because otherwise my camera does not like to focus very well. It probably would focus a lot better on those cotton pieces if I was using a different background, but you know, that's fine, it works, it'll be okay. We're going to go ahead and slide her in the RDA in just a second. I'm going to take my first piece. It's going to be very difficult to hold on to this RDA and slide this through at the same time, just letting you guys know. I'm going to twist the end really tight, really tight. I'm going to go ahead and put it through. Just like that. Try to fluff it up a good bit. The cotton looks so much thinner on camera than it really is. It really isn't very thin. Like, it's a pretty bulky, dense piece of cotton right here. I mean, look, it barely slides through. You just want it to do that barely slide. And if it does that, like if it wants to shed cotton off, twist it as it goes through, just like I just did. Love this Japanese cotton. I can't use any of the other stuff. I tried the native wicks, despised them, literally despised them. Bada bang. You can see there's a little space in between there. That's not going to really bother anything. It just kind of shed off a little bit. Even when I used to build before, or a while back, what I used to do, I would take my cotton, fold it in half, and take a piece of Kanthal and shove it through like that. I mean, it's kind of difficult to explain, but a lot of people used to do that on YouTube that I would watch. Now you want to snip it. I like to snip it along the edge of the RDA, pretty much. So, you know, just kind of give yourself a little bow tie type deal. Boom. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know. But there you go. We're going to juice her up for you here in just a second. Alright, I'm going to take some of my juice. Just get it kind of a little bit saturated, you know. You don't want to saturate it too much. Just get it kind of damp right now so you can form your cotton a little bit better. It definitely helps to form it, and it definitely helps during the saturation process. Okay, so I got a little bit of cotton, or a little bit of juice on there. Then I'm going to take a thin screwdriver, a small one. I like to use a little flathead one. Take my cotton, just kind of shove it up under. This is going to be the most difficult thing on camera. Especially on this mutation, the cotton really never wants to go in that dog bone type figure it has because of the airflow down there. Yeah, just kind of shove it up under. Doesn't have to look gorgeous, doesn't have to look perfect. I mean, this is definitely not a coil porn worth coil. It's just an average coil that I built up for you guys, you know, just so you could get the gist on how to do this, or what my favorite build is, and maybe you guys can try it and see if you like it. Same process on the other side. I kind of flatten it before I do it too. Just kind of shove her under there. I like it to be fluffy, but with a lot of these macro builds, especially in this MXV4, it's tough. It's tough to make it fluffy. It's tough to get your cotton in there just right. You know, it has such a small well, like a thin type well, that it's so hard to get your cotton up in there perfect. I just kind of shove it up in, and I still do not get a burnt head. Make sure those, if you're using the mutation, make sure those holes aren't covered up. There you have it. I'm going to do a few more adjustments to it, you know, just you're at what I'm pretty much doing right now, just so I don't take up a lot of time. I'm going to drip her up some more, and then I'm going to vape it. We'll fire her up too. Alright, so we're almost finished. We got our coils sitting here, nice and long macro coils with that 22 gauge, decently looking. Can't say they're not decent. Alright, we're going to go ahead and juice her up. I actually didn't really do any adjustments during that pause. I just kind of looked at it, make sure everything looked okay. Looked at it in the light. It's hard because I'm casting a shadow over this. It's really hard for me to see. Make sure it's nice and saturated. Just kind of paint your juice on there. You know. Alright, we're going to go ahead and fire it. This is only 80 watts, so it's not going to fire the best. Crank her up a little bit. Focus, you piece of shit. Alright, I'll zoom her out. We'll fire her. Or zoom it in. As you can see, she's firing great. We're going to take her back up to face cam and vape on her. So we're back to face cam. We got this build ready to rock. As you can see, I'm going to drip her up just a tad bit more. Haven't vaped on it yet. I've not vaped on it. I was just firing it. I promise. Just so I can have, you know, camera proof that I've not messed with it or tinkered with it any more than what I did in the video and what you guys know of that I told you I tinkered with it in the video. So we're going to go ahead, fire up. I'm going to hit this sucker. We're going to start her off at 125. Let's start her at 125. That's about my best range, between 125 150. And we're going to step back a tad. I'm going to set this airflow to wide open. Flavor Chaser's dream, baby. I'm going to go ahead and crank her up to 150 watts. 150. As you can see it a little bit. She's hitting at 0.22 ohms. That's what I usually get, between 0.2 and 0.25 with this build. You can do more wraps, get like, you know, 0.3, which is probably at its best. 0.25 to 0.3 is at this sucker's best, but that's at 150 watts, and it's still no burn hit. It's going to burn up your juice, I mean, like a son of a bitch, but you're not going to get a burn hit. Beautiful fire. Alrighty, Smokey. It's a chuckin'. The flavor on this build is killer. The heat on this build is killer. It's going to be a hot vape. So if you don't like the hot vapes, this is definitely not for you. I mean, you can still chuck the clouds at 100 watts. There you go. You can see it. 100 watts. That's more for just a chill, you know, you're relaxing. Still chucks like no tomorrow. Flavors kick ass, vapors kick ass, everything is stellar. My favorite build preference for the IPv3 Li, or, you know, whatever box mod you have. You could have the Sigelli 150, the IPv4S, whatever you guys have, you know, the God mod. It's gonna be a kick-ass vape on any box mod that goes over 100 watts. I promise you, it's kick-ass. You could even crank this sucker up to 200 and it's still gonna be okay. It's not gonna get a burn hit. It's gonna burn up your juice like crazy, but you could hit this sucker at 200 watts. Alrighty guys, Vapesin is out. Deuce!